Today we are gonna do a 7-foot quarter pipe. I have another 8-foot by 8-foot sheet, and the lip that we did a few weeks ago, that's set just over 7 foot with a longer radius. I think we used 13 or 14. Well, this radius we're actually gonna use 7 to 8 feet. So it's gonna be a lot tighter, and we're actually gonna use the entire sides this time too. This wood is called OSB. See how it's not ply. It's not sheets glued on top of other sheets. This is actually just ground up wood, pretty much pressed together. Not press board, but glued together to make a sheet. So it's not the strongest stuff, but it's free because a buddy of mine works at a job site and he's bringing me wood. 7 foot tall, 12 to 16 foot wide. I don't know yet. We'll find out. All right, so we have the radius. Notice how I put the pole straight out here. So before I anchored it, this time I actually kind of got the pin to where I wanted to stop. If you look here, I did 1.5 inches. This is the width of a 2x4, because I'm actually going to set this whole quarter pipe on wood, on bricks, and then be able to like bring dirt up to it. That way water doesn't sit on it. That, again, I did an 1.5 inch pass because I want that to be a 2x4 that direction, and that 2x4 is actually going to bolt to the deck. We're only going to cut that triangle out and that triangle out. So we're going to have a whole new piece there and a whole new sheet of ply there. So I might be able to get the two sides, get the side and the middle done out of just 2 pieces. There we go. Got the whole thing cut, bottom and the top. Looks short, but it's 1.5 feet taller than me, 7 foot. So I got that drawn out, but I wanted to make a point and show you something. So when you lay the template on the ply, remember this black line is technically, if you cut on this side of the black line, your template is actually going to be bigger than this template. So you got to keep that in mind. I'm using a Sharpie. If I used a pin with a good fine line, I would tell you to cut on this side of the pin. That way you put the blade right against the pin, then you're cutting it where it's going to be the same size as this. So like I did, I use the Sharpie, so if I cut right on the end here, it's gonna leave that gap. Make sure all these edges are matching too. You wanna make sure everything's square, all your corners match. This is tongue and groove board, so I'm actually gonna cut that off. Always make sure to do the flat edges on flat edges. That way you don't cut a transition and then have to cut a flat edge. So you go on the outside of the board as much as possible. That way you can use the edges, even if it's like 6 inches, because you know these edges are true straight lines, and it's just one less cut to have to do. All the templates are cut. We got 2 bottoms, we got 2 tops. Okay, all sides are cut, all the templates. For a 16-foot wide quarter, you could build 2 8-foot wide quarters and then bolt them together, and then you have double ply down the middle, and that would be 4 sheets. So my plan was to do just outsides and then 1 down the middle, so I'd have to waste another sheet. But come to find out, I had to cut another sheet anyways, so I cut the bottoms out of the scraps, and then 2 more big sides, these 2. And so I'm actually gonna do 3 4-foot quarters, because I actually have more. I'm trying to build this entire ramp with no money, just out of stuff I've left over. All right, I know I have more 4-foot pieces and longer, like 4 to 6 foot pieces of 2x4, more than I have full 8-foot pieces. So I'm actually gonna get more ribs out of this. So I'm gonna do 4-foot strips. Also, one more thing. When you're taking these templates and you're putting the templates on the wood to trace it out, make sure you use the same template every time. Like whatever your first template you cut, always use that for making all the other templates. Because say if you use your first one and then you draw the second one, and say you accidentally drew that line a little wide or cut a little wide, so if you use that second template to make the third template, that third template is already bigger than your first 2, so your ramp's not going to be all squared. So yeah, use your first template always. Once you cut one, use it to trace out everything else. That way everything stays consistent. If you make one little mistake in a cut, at least it's only that one panel, and the mistake isn't going to grow with you as you cut. On to the next step. We're going to get the 2x4s and start bolting this thing together. So these things, these footballs, these are a little too small, but actually save these, because this is the middle out of the 2 bigger trannies, and nothing else would fit, or I didn't need more bottoms. So, and the big ones don't fit, so I couldn't cut any more big ones. So this could always be like a 1 or 2 foot kicker. You could always reuse this for something else. Lay one of your templates down there and just cut the bottom and always make a spare kicker out of your spare wood. Yeah, we built the platform because obviously we're in the south and we don't want to keep it wet when it rains. So I built it up on bricks so it's level. I gotta fine tune a few pieces, but yeah, we're off the ground. We'll build dirt up to that. You can obviously see we're at a bit of a slant, so it's higher there than it is here. So I'll lay dirt all here to make this even transition up to the quarter. I'm gonna really paint all these seams really good because that's obviously gonna absorb water. So I'm gonna paint those real good. I'm actually gonna paint the bottom as well. As we get wood, I'm just gonna keep painting this thing and hopefully get some good life out of it. Got everything loaded up. Come up front. Sit right there. So I got a bunch more 2x4s yesterday. We got them all cut. Now we're gonna, I should have enough to do the ribs on one side. So I got ribs in here. So what I'm gonna do is, since it's 3 different sections and we're actually sharing walls, I'm actually gonna do this side and then the right side, because if we ever need to take the ramp apart, at least I know I can come through here and take the center ribs out, and then we have 2 perfectly good sections we can just lay over and not have to take it apart. Look at him. He's trying.
You got it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Anyways.
He's just cosmoing.
When you lay the ply, you want to start at a square edge, and then it's gonna lay 4 foot, because it's a 4 foot wide piece of ply. So if you measure one straight line from the tip of there 4 feet, it's gonna be longer than how you lay it. So remember, we're laying ply on a radius. So as we lay it down the radius, it's actually gonna shorten the length. You want to measure along the radius, so it's actually in a straight line for this particular ramp. It's about 47.5 inches to where the ply is going to lay. So that's going to lay down. The first ply will lay on these 2x4s, and it'll actually stop right here halfway through the this 2x4, because when we lay this layer, we want that to butt up here, because if you measure this wrong and the ply lands here, you're going to have a soft spot in your ply. So start from the bottom, lay up. We're 8 inches between each board. If you do 8 inches from center to center, it actually comes out even under the ply, because you don't want to go 9 or 10 inches, then you get to a spot where you got 2 2x4s right close to each other, then you're just wasting wood. So we're laying that, and then we'll lay the next sheet, and then the third sheet of ply will overhang and we'll cut that. But when we come back to do the second layer of ply, we're actually going to start from the top and work our way down. That way the top layer of ply actually covers up the seams that are underneath, because if you go seam to seam, you're going to have a weak point. So you want to always overlay all your cracks when you're laying the wood, so there's no weak seams.
Oh!
Ride her down. All right, so now we'll rib up that. We don't have enough boards to do everything, but we're going to rib up the bottom. And to be honest, I might actually take these out and rib the bottom, and then go ahead and lay some ply down. That way we can get paint on it and paint everything that's exposed. We had a couple days of rain, so had a bit of a delay. Here we are. We got all the ribs in. We got Big Mike up there helping us paint. Every rib is 8 inches, has an 8-inch gap, and that's an 8-inch gap of middle of beam to middle of beam. With all the rain, things are gonna move. So just for extra precaution, I ran stakes. Another stake here, another stake here. Stakes in the middle there, stake there. 2 stakes in the middle back here, and a stake there. And that will hopefully help prevent it from sliding, but we're gonna put a deck from the top to the tree anyways. Oh, and also to save money, when you go, wherever you go to buy paint, say Lowe's or Home Depot, look for their clearance rack. I got this paint right here. I mean, a gallon of paint is normally 20 to 30 bucks. We get this right here, this exterior wood sealer, and that was out of the discount rack that someone would have delivered or got the wrong color, and it's normally like half the price. I want all these ramps to be black, but I'm gonna start off with the cheapest stuff, and then you get it all painted with the sealer, and then just go back with then whatever the color you want and do a top layer on top, and then you have the ramp. The color you want without spending money for 2 or 3 gallons of paint. We framed up this deck, and this deck is literally just sitting on top of here right now. And what we did was, so the deck comes in flush, we lag bolted that down, so we got a thick border here. I'm not gonna do coping on this ramp, so if you plan to do coping, you're gonna have to do this part a little different, or you can actually just put a piece of coping on top of here and then sheet it behind. So we're tied to the tree, so if you notice, the ramp goes sideways, but it doesn't move this way, but it still moves that way. So we're gonna go and cross support that. This is simple enough. If you guys are building ramps, I assumed I don't have to film this part for you, and you can figure out the rectangle. Kind of like laying bricks. So it's a 12-foot wide quarter. These are 8-foot sheets of ply. We're gonna do one sheet here, and then the next sheet's actually gonna be here, and the next sheet's gonna be there, and then we'll use other sheets to go here, which will have a 4-foot cutoff. So say we lay a piece here on this corner, cut that 4-foot piece off, and it'll come here. Same thing there. And then we do a second layer. So my SD card got full. We went ahead and painted, got all the layers. We will finish it another day. This might be my longest build I've ever done. With all the crazy weather we've had, I haven't been able to finish much around here. We got more OSB. I got a buddy who does landscaping on big job sites. So each job site, they don't take the wood to the next house, especially like new neighborhood development. So if you're driving through, don't hesitate to stop and ask the workers, hey, is this stuff trash? Because literally I have so much ply just from asking the guys, like, hey, is this good? You get 2 or 3 sheets per job site. This is what you end up with. Let me show you this. All these sheets. All these sheets. We got ramps for days. We got 1, 2, 3, 50 sheets of 4x8 ply OSB. But it's not the best, but we have so much. We're gonna paint the shit out of it and get as much life as possible. So did the second layer on the top. We worked our way up, so now I'll work our way back down, which is hard. Do it starting up there is definitely pretty tough. That's why I'm gonna need an extra hand on that one. But we're gonna put that up, and then we'll come down. All the seams will be covered, and then we're gonna cut the excess off at the bottom. All right, guys, here it is. We finally have the quarter pipe finished. Such a sloppy mess around here, but she's done. 2 layers. Every screw is actually in a beam. So when you're putting this ramp in, it's stiff wood, so it's got to form to the transition. Start at the top, go all the way across, and then go to your next rib. Go all the way across. That way the wood is slowly bending as it goes, and if you're not going into the ribs, the screws are actually gonna screw into the plywood underneath and just pull out instantly. Let me know what you guys want to see get built and how I can help you guys build it. Thanks for tuning in. Love you all. Peace.